If I asked you to think of the most iconic case in lawsuit history, I bet you go with one of two options. Either Carl Jobst vs. Billy Mitchell, where I was called as a witness in court and they used my fart as evidence, or you will think of the McDonald's lawsuit from many moons ago, where a woman successfully sued McDonald's after getting a hot drink spilled on her, which awarded her millions of dollars. That case has been referenced and talked about more than the Naruto vs. Pain fight. Basically, she had a drink that was dangerously hot, fucking matched the power of the sun. They basically served a cup of magma, and it spilt on her and it disfigured her. So she sued them, wanting her medical bills covered for all the medical treatment she went through as a result of it, but Ronald McDonald said, best I can do is one of these. It went to trial. The jury awarded her like $2.7 million in punitive damages, which eventually got knocked down to a little less than that, but she did receive a fat paycheck for all the damage that was caused. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because we just saw a pretty similar song and dance happen with Starbucks, where a man was served some hot tea that spilt on his lap in the drive-thru, disfiguring him, and he has now just been awarded $50 million. We have footage of exactly what happened here, so you can see the Starbucks employees got 3 venti hot teas that they're putting in a carrier right now and about to serve to the customer. But these hot teas have a different destination in mind. They're going straight to Penisville. So Michael grabs the carrier and one of the hot teas fucking ODST shock drops right onto his groin, which has caused 3rd-degree burns and disfigurement to his penis, groin, and inner thighs. Now, I've seen some people make the claim that he did it to himself, like he threw the teas on him, like took a bath in it to try and sue Starbucks for damages. I don't get that sense watching that clip there, because you can see when he brings it into the car, that back one just fucking plops out. I don't get the feeling that there was any intent to disfigure his penis here for the sake of a paycheck. It really seems like when he brought it into the car, and as he was moving to set it into the seat next to him, that one hot tea just said, I'm out. So it fell onto his lap, which then caused him to, accelerate in pain and panic. So I don't think it was on purpose. According to his attorney, he said that Michael's life has been forever changed. No amount of money can undo the permanent, catastrophic harm he suffered. This jury verdict is a critical step in holding Starbucks accountable for flagrant disregard for customer safety and failure to accept responsibility. So the lawsuit was on the grounds that Starbucks was at fault for not properly securing the hot drinks to the carrier, which led to this dick disaster. And he's won. According to CBS, the jurors deliberated for just 40 minutes. They speedran that. They said, fuck you, Starbucks, check this gold split on the verdict. And also, Starbucks initially offered Michael $3 million before it went to trial, even upping it to 30 million clams, which he agreed to, but only under the condition that they apologize, change their policy, and issue a memo to stores telling them to double-check their hot drinks before handing them to customers. Starbucks declined those terms. They said, no sirree, Buster, we will not accept under those stipulations. We'll see you in court. We're coming for what's left of your wiener, as they put on the brass knuckles and look like fucking stooges going into court. It seems like a pretty reasonable request. Like, okay, we'll settle this, but I want you to say sorry. And also, maybe change your policy a little bit when it comes to hot drinks, letting your employees know, like, hey, maybe just be super certain that these things are locked in there, fucking strapped in. So that way more people don't spill it on themselves. Like, it doesn't seem like he was asking for the world or anything. It's not like he was asking to have a bronze bust of his face in every Starbucks across the country or anything. He really did just ask for something kind of simple. I don't know what Starbucks had a conniption about, blowing a gasket and saying, nope, now you're getting nothing from us. But it's a decision that cost them an extra $20 million for it. Maybe they just really don't like the idea of apologizing. They cross their arms. No. We won't say sorry. But the more I stew on it, I think what they most likely had an issue with was the policy change of, like, telling the workers more about the drinks and securing them. Maybe they thought that would be costly as, like, a training the employees more, or, like, having to change the carrier that it comes in or something. So they thought that maybe this would give, like, wiggle room for something like that, which could cost them more. I don't really know. It's hard to really get into the mind of a Starbucks higher up, because to do that, I'd have to hit my head against the wall 50 fucking times. Anyway, though, Michael has had to undergo 2 skin grafts to his penis and states that any friction to the area causes pain. I imagine he's not lying about that. getting third-degree burns on your winky, I have no doubt will cause a long, long period of pain from even like very simple things. So I don't think he's making up, how much he's gone through. Getting penile skin grafts, that shit sounds horrifying. Now, admittedly, I don't understand how the $50 million was calculated. He has dysfunction, permanent damage, and psychological damage all stated in this. But how do you put numbers on that, and how does it reach $50 million? I don't really get how it reaches that number. Not that it bothers me. I think it's great that Starbucks is about to pay this guy $50 million. It's just, how do you get there? Because you could come over here right now with a pair of rusty pliers and rip my cock off, and it'd be safe to assume that my winky was never going to squirt out $50 million worth of value. So, I'm admittedly confused how it got to such an astronomical number here, but who gives a fuck? You won't find me shedding tears for $1 billion corporation like Starbucks having to pay this guy $50 million now. Congrats to him. That's a big W for sure. Yeah, he definitely went through something traumatic here, but I'm sure $50 million is going to help moving forward with all of this. Starbucks, though, is planning to appeal the decision. They claim that it has always been committed to the highest safety standards in our stores, saying, "We sympathize with Mr. Garcia, but we disagree with the jury's decision that we were at fault for this incident and believe the damages awarded to be excessive." It is a lot of money in damages, and it's not like the Starbucks employee went out there and fucking slapped it out of his hand like it was a game of Magic the Gathering and they flipped the table on him. It is one of those things where after it was given to the customer, then the drink fell out. But I think you can, and they clearly did, make a convincing argument that more could have been done to ensure that the top of the lid wouldn't fly off and lead to the whole beverage spilling all over him, and that it wouldn't fall out of the carrier if it was secured better. But I think the main reason they want to appeal this and fight back against it isn't even like the money element of it. $50 million, Starbucks higher-ups wipe their ass with that on the daily. They probably wouldn't even notice that as a blip on their radar. But what they don't want is anyone to try and emulate this on purpose. While I don't think this guy did it on purpose, since we have footage, it doesn't seem like he did it intentionally. There definitely would be someone that would see a payday like this and be like, that's the ticket. That's what I'm going to do right there. I'll go sacrifice my dick cheese, spilling this hot coffee on my groin, and I'll sue Starbucks for it. And I think Starbucks just doesn't want that to be like an option. They don't want to leave that door open here if they accept like full responsibility and just roll over for it. At least that's what I think the goal is with Starbucks trying to fight back against it. But then I started thinking, how likely is it that someone would go through all of that like penile skin grafts, permanent dysfunction and damage for a potential lawsuit settlement, a big payday? I think the likelihood's pretty high. Would I do it personally? Depends on my age. If I was guaranteed to win a $50 million lawsuit against Starbucks, if I just put my wiener through a traumatic and permanently disfiguring experience, I would consider it if I was in my 80s. Because right now, I get a lot of mileage out of my cock. But when I'm in my 80s, yeah, we're going to have great memories together and everything, but at that point, I'm just going to be playing with like bubblegum down there. Like, it's not going to be, as prominent. So I feel like I'd be more likely to try something like this for a $50 million payday the later in life I am. Not that anyone was asking me if I'd try this strategy or not, but I just thought about it for a little bit, so I wanted to share the conclusion that I drew for it. So yeah, big congrats to Michael here for the $50 million. I guess we'll see how the appeal process goes, but pretty interesting shit. I just wanted to talk about it a bit. That's it. See ya.